Hi, beautiful souls, and welcome back to this week's episode of Soul Conversation. And today I have a dear friend and sister with me that's been on the podcast, but I think it was like 2 years ago or something. And Lina, for me, is a big powerhouse energetically and has a big heart, and was someone who I met on LinkedIn for, I don't know, it feels like a lifetime. I don't know. So, welcome, Lina.
Thank you. I'm so happy to talk to you again and be
Yeah,
here. Yeah.
it's beautiful. So, let's start because on my birthday, there was, like it always is when you're ready and open to receive, something popped up on my Facebook, and it was an episode with you on another podcast here in Sweden. And I just listened to the episode and was like so intrigued about what you shared about the story, the patriarchy, like the story and the like how you shared it as well. So
Mm.
let's go into a little bit. Um, no, let's start here. Why is it important for you to work with the feminine and masculine energies the way you do it? Because I want that to be,
Mm. Oh, I'm getting emotional just by the question. I believe it's a deep, deep calling from the
Mm,
earth in my body, in my heart, a calling for life, I would say,
mm,
for a calling for love and a returning of the feminine, the way we were meant to live.
yeah,
And it's a calling that says it's gone mad and it's time to let the feminine rise in balance with the masculine so we can enjoy life,
yeah,
so we can have pleasure of being souls in this body in this lifetime and honoring the earth and everything's connected with it. So I would say a deep calling and a longing for something else, for peace within and
mm,
without.
mm. That's beautiful. And if we go back just a little bit in time, just so people can get the context as well, but if we go back in time, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something like that, where were you within you with your like feminine and masculine energies back then?
Well, I would say if I go further back, if I go
Yeah,
20 years ago,
absolutely.
I, I, or 25 years ago, I lived from the masculine. I was very ambitious. I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to be someone and do something. And I was very attracted to winning things and be the best.
Mm.
And then when my life collapsed 22 years ago, then that part of me, the ego that wanted
Mm,
to be someone and prove myself,
mm,
she died because my
mm,
life crashed. Many things happened. And what happened then was I started a healing journey, and I had to start with the masculine. I had to start with to heal the mind. And I worked a lot with transformative NLP and healing my mind, all the ways the patriarchy had jumped into me, driving me from within to be someone, to prove, and all of that,
mm,
and be the best. That is
mm.
just an unhealthy wound that I had to heal within me, as we need to heal this in the world.
Yeah.
Patriarchy and dominance and power and all the things that happens, they are results of a wound. And when I started healing that, and I had to do that for many, many, many years. So I
Mm,
would say maybe 10 years ago, I
yeah.
started to work more with the feminine because the mind wasn't blocking my body, my feelings, the soul in the
Mm,
way I had before. And then working a lot with the soul, as in my opinion, the soul is a feminine aspect.
mm,
And then I would say the last 3-4 years, I had a really feminine wake up within me to really shift things from
mm.
within. And I think that's very important, that the healing journey is a long journey. It's ever
Yes.
ongoing.
Yeah.
And I believe many of us needs to start with the mind, with the masculine, and then go deeper and deeper into the feminine. and connect. When we have the feminine awakening, we then can connect with the masculine, and we can create from, I would say, peace within. And that doesn't mean I don't have an ego. It doesn't mean I'm ready. It means that I've been on a deep healing journey, and I'm still on it. And I honor the process. And wherever people, you who listens, are, just allow to start and continue where you are.
Yeah, I love that. And I can relate to a lot of it, because I also was like leading and operating from a masculine, and then that's where I started as well. And then it actually was the sexual energy, and then the feminine. So it's kind of, but what you're saying as well, that because what I found, especially right now, and I'm talking about the online space and the outside world, there is still a lot of shit coming up with, you know, the kind of wounded, the competitive, also in the spiritual communities, where you kind of compete with each other, kind of a superior energy rising as well, but with everything needs to come up and then to dissolve. But like, how do you say, oh, I'm here and you are here, because I was like that a couple of years ago. I had to prove myself. I felt like of my insecurities. And then the more compassionate I've been with myself and the journey, it's like, okay, here we go again sometimes. And that's okay.
Yeah, and we, because that's what we have taught ourselves. We have been raised for thousands of years to compete and to live. We have been living in a hierarchy for 5,000 to 6,000 years. It's a lot of people. It's in our roots. So it's nothing wrong with you or me that we do what we are raised to do. We compete. We want to be someone. We want to do good and prove. That's just natural. But when we heal, then this believing life is in different levels, that illusion would leave. And I would say, also in the spiritual world, when we talk about 3D and 5D and different things, that's also a big tendency to be a patriarchal thinking, that there are different levels, one is better than the other. But in the feminine, we are embracing all of life, all dimensions, especially the body and the soul. And the body is what a lot of spirituality have raised us to leave the body, transcend, as ascend to God and heavens and the higher light. And that's a masculine spirituality. And that is often very connected with the hierarchies. And the feminine calling takes us deep to the earth, to our real roots. And when we connect there, we get stable and we start to unfold, I would say, to the truth within us, that the light is within your heart, in my heart. And then we don't need to stretch to find it above or somewhere else. We can reach it within. But we are raised and blocked, so we can't feel it from the beginning. And that's why I had to heal my mind first, so I could really feel my own light. And it's still a journey. And when I can feel my own light, I can also feel my own worth and worthiness. And when I feel that, it shifts everything. But it's a deep healing that needs to happen. And I would say in all areas of society and the world. So spirituality is a part of that. And we need to just believe in the path that our soul takes us on. And sometimes we need to begin there to feel that, okay, this doesn't resonate with me. So what does?
I love what okay, I need to, because this was for me a little bit mind-blowing what you just said and shared about your aspect of 3D and 5D. I'm with you there, but you said something else about ascending and leaving the body. Can you just go a little bit more deeper there, because I'm just learning something new here right now.
Yeah, so when Christianity was established, and it was a patriarchal religion to raise and form people to live in a certain way, Then God was above us, like the Father God and the Son. And Jesus ascended, rised up to leave the body and the pain. And that was part of the structure. We were raised to be better than this body, be something else, and believe in God above. And when you are good, then you don't feel your embodied needs. You don't feel passion. For example, in Christianity, you don't haven't allowed sexuality. And Maria Magdalene, she was called a whore, and sexuality was something bad. And all of that are ways of expressing that the spirituality and the God mindset is above the body and beyond the needs of the body. And that's the reason for that is when people are in their body, connected with their hearts, they are amazingly powerful. We can create life when we enjoy sex, for example. And we can say no to this fucking insanity we can see around us. We will say no if we feel it in our bodies. But if we are trained to leave the bodies, then we can feel it. And then we have no power to say no to the wrong things. And we are raised to believe that someone else has the answers, God above, or the priest, or someone else. And then we leave the body. And that's when we leave our power. And that's empowered by Jaya. You know, the power is within. So we are trained and raised to do that. And ascending is, for me, one of the best examples that leave the body and go up to the heavens. And of course, you can do this. I can do that, those kind of journeys, but it's from my body. I can do it. And it's within my body I live this life. And I don't know if that was...
No, it makes so much sense. No, I love it. I love it. I love it because it's a different take that, you know, I want to be shared out there. The way you... Now, it resonates with me. I also go back in when I was deep healing my sexuality. I actually did that. It was conscious. It was a conscious choice because I wanted to challenge myself. I was in a safe environment, but I left my body and my consciousness because I was doing something that I'm not going to share that part, but it was kind of going back to a trauma in a past life, but I did it consciously here, where I felt safe, kind of.
And that's interesting. Because when you talk about it, reminds me what we do when we experience a trauma, then the soul leaves the body. That's what it does because it can't handle the pain. So that's one of the reasons that pain and suffering is also a way of push us down. So when we experience a lot of pain in the society, we loosen our power because we can't handle feeling it in our body. So we leave, and then we are easier to dominate instead of staying here. So also wars and conflicts and sexual abuse are parts of making us leave our power in our bodies. So we are easier to manage. And yes, by healing this, as you experienced, is when we reconnect with the wound and heal it and bring us back to the body where the wound is seated. And we can heal that, and then we can be safe within ourselves again. And then we have the power to feel also pain, but we know how to heal and shift it.
But it's also interesting because if I go back in time to that specific situation, today I would never have done it.
No.
That's also interesting.
So then it was over your borders.
It was absolutely, how can you say, like the boundary setting to me, for me, wasn't solid.
And that's very, very common in all the trauma healing around, that people don't have the security enough to really handle what they do. I do work with the therapists, as you know, and I have educations for them, and the safety and the ways we need to learn to take responsibility. I can have clients who come to me and say, I'm ready to heal this. And I'm like, are you? And that's my responsibility, to stay with them, to make them safe enough to heal. And since the mind can hijack also the healing journey, for example, if you've been in abuse.
Yeah.
The mind can, I need to heal this, and then I can live my life as the best in ways. And I'm like, okay, so that's also something you want to achieve. And that's not a safe space.
And like
it's a
quick,
safe space.
like quick
Yeah,
fix.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I can be this and that.
Yeah.
and that is hijacking healing journey, because the healing journey needs you to be like honoring your body, the pain, the wounds, what you have experienced, and be safe there, to stay there, not to become anything, because you are everything and you're whole. Even with wounding, we are whole. So that's my job, to just make people safe enough to crack their shells, so they can come out and feel their own light and love in life. But it's very, very interesting how we put this achievement into healing, and that's what I would say, the masculine mindset and the masculine spirituality in the unbalanced way.
Yeah. And also I would say, and I say it like that was part of my journey, so I'm not kind of blaming myself for wherever I was back then, but it's like we talked about in hindsight, then we can go back and kind of connect our dots, and okay, that's why, or that's how I approached it. Like
exactly, and that's how I experience. And it's very important that you share. You don't blame yourself for it now, because then there would be again this hierarchy of mind blaming the body and the journey.
Yes.
And then you, whatever good you've done, it would be like dish back on top again, and that is not a good place to be at, because that's disconnected from body, earth, spirit, soul within. So it's very important, as you say, to just, okay, this happened, I experienced this, and it taught me this, and it took me here, and to really be humble to that journey, just what it needs to do,
and
help us
also
awaken.
I also the fact that great, then this is something I would never guide someone else to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I sit with that because it was part of my journey. I would never ever, because
exactly.
If we go a little bit deeper into the sexuality, I was invited to tantric community center, blah blah, in Sweden, and for me it was a no. It was so like solid, like it was just no. And then I don't know, maybe 1.5 year later, I could connect the dots why it wasn't for me, because what you were sharing as well, and that was my experience, that I find that especially when it comes to sexuality, and I had a lot of healing there because I was closed off for most of my life, and the way to feel safe and honor myself today, it's with me, like in my space. But I know from the stories as well why it was a no, because a lot of what's going on was from wounds, like the one who were teaching it and the one who were participating. I'm not like judging, it's just for me to observe, like, and for me I don't think it's healthy. That's my opinion. I don't.
And it's not, because if teachers act from their own wounds, then they will spread the wound, and that's not healing. And as we also talked before, my teacher and my mentors that I have, they are very open with their own healing journey. They don't pretend to be someone else at the top, mastering everything. They share the journey of how it is to descend, and the pain it involves, and how they have handled the pain so they can stay within and embody. And then I can really experience their experiences, helps me and supports me, because they are brave. And when they have managed and they survived the descending journey, then I become brave enough to do it within me. And that's the opposite of ascending. And when I descend, I meet my wounds. And when I heal the wounds, they become my gold, because I am whole as you are. It becomes gold. but we need to descend into them, and that it is painful. I am so humbled by people don't do the healing journey. I'm so like, I totally get it. It's so fucking painful.
It is. It
And
is.
it's not for everyone. And I don't blame anyone who doesn't do it, because I really understand that the pain is too much to handle. And again, then it's maybe not even safe to do it. But that's why it's so important to find people who can help us tune into the ways we can heal and descend safely. Yeah, I'm so passionate about this.
No, but I agree. And I think the way I guide people is also only as far as I have done my own, because I
you
can't
can't.
do it. How could I, like, for me it's impossible to try to hold space somewhere where I haven't met myself. Like, that's
you
just
can't. And I usually think, if you were a diver and a diving instructor and you want to dive deep, you want to go to 5 meters depth, and then you probably go to an instructor who know 10 meters. But you don't ask the 10 meters instructor to take you to hundreds, because they haven't been there, so they aren't safe enough, so they can't handle you there. So that's why I seek instructors who've been in much deeper waters than I have, because then I know they know how to be safe there.
Yes.
And the same with also ascending, that the levels in this way, it is levels of experience. It's not levels of you're good or bad. It's levels of experience. What have you experienced within you? Because that's what's true.
I love this part. Yes.
Yes, me too.
And okay, so can we go a little bit more into the history?
Yeah. Exactly,
Where?
because it's connected with what we talk about. Because when we look at patriarchy as a way of arranging the system and the society, we believe this is the norm. That's what we are raised to think. And hierarchy means that someone on the top decides and make decisions of people on the bottom, and that the worthiness have different levels. And it's dominance and violence that keeps the power, and a few people have loads of resources, but many people have nothing. And like that's the system, and we have agreed to that, and we are raised in that. And a way we live it within ourselves is how we judge ourselves. Our self-critic is a way of internalizing that someone else on the top knows better, and it judge everyone else. So when I judge myself, that's patriarchy within me. So I just want to say patriarchy isn't something outside of us, because we have internalized it. So we are all affected of it, whether we believe it or not. And it's unconscious. So I've been very interested in history. And when I studied history, I see that the people lived in a total other way. Instead of a hierarchy like a pyramid, it's in a circle. And I will come to why it shifted in a moment. So people lived like in a circle, cooperating. There was no one deciding over others. And there wasn't one leader. It was a circular leadership where the person best aimed for the task would lead that. If someone knows herbs, then they lead the way we treat herbs. If someone knew food, how to find in the forest, whatever, how to protect, whatever. Sexuality, also leaders in sexuality. It was wise women who taught others, especially men, about sexuality. So there was a circle, and in the middle was the honoring of the feminine, of the life itself, of the children, and of the woman. Because the woman was the mother. And the mother was in center because she could provide new life. So that was the like center of the circle. So everything was connected to the center. What is best for life? What is best for the mother? What is best for the earth? And how do we care about that? And when, for example, in families, they were then, when you got children, the lines was based from the mother. So if it was the son of Lina, the daughter of Lina, and the children were raised in the feminine family, so there were bigger families, but then me as a daughter lived with my mother, and then my siblings were also there. So it was
Yeah.
big families who raised the children in the feminine line. And the fathers could be different. And the fathers didn't also even know always who were the children. It wasn't relevant because the children were taken care of in these big families.
Yeah.
And it was societies where pleasure, it was allowed, and we had a lot of sex and we enjoyed life. We could really blossom, and women and the feminine, it was very orgasmic, and the women was the one who taught men about sex. And
Makes sense.
it was
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, because it wasn't anything bad with sex. It was just
No.
enjoy life and
It wasn't
this and this.
suppressive like it
No,
was.
it was expressed and
Yes.
allowed and wild and free as it's meant to be. We're meant to enjoy life. So that's this, and this is science. That's the way we lived before. And we had also what we believed in was in the goddess, and we're honoring the Mother Earth. So we can see around the world there were goddess cultures. And here in Sweden they are very, very strong, but they are hidden. So we don't know our own history, because when Christianity came into Sweden, then it started to erase the former stories and also change names on people. Persons' names were changed, and the names of different places to erase the history. And I will just give one example. For example, we had a goddess Hel in Sweden, and it means whole. She is the goddess of life and death and the cycle of life. And she was very, very strong. And we can see her in different names in the country. And when Christianity came, it was very hard to take her away. People didn't let her go because they really believed in Hel, in whole.
Yeah.
And she was great at healing. So they couldn't just take her away, erase her. So they had to say that she is awful, and they had to make us afraid of her. So they made her to the goddess of death, and she made her look like the half of her was a skeleton, and she is the death goddess. And it wasn't enough. So they also had to say, you have to be careful so you don't go to hell. So they named the place of hell from her name to tell us she is hell. And you have to be afraid of going to the hell, because then you will burn forever in hell. There's no ascending there. And that was the way we were taught, that she was dangerous. So don't go near her. She who could help us heal, who could help us live and also handle death when it comes into life. So that's the way patriarchy have taken all of this away. So I've been very interested in what happened with circular society, what made this pyramid. And before I talk about that, is there something you want to say before I continue?
Oh no, I just make some notes. Okay, yeah. I have one question, and then why do you believe that the patriarchy kind of behind the, how can I say, how was the patriarchy invented? Do you say invented? I don't know if you say.
Yeah, I will come to that.
Okay, good.
That's my next. So I think that's the question. Because, so what made it circular society, honoring life, goddess and mother, and taking care of children, and enjoying sex, for example? What happened with it that made it a pyramid? And then we have this amazing woman, Alisha Daeva, who have written the book Before War. And this is based on science, what I now will share. She says and explains that we had a climate crisis in some parts of the world, and that made in just 100 years, from being a green, flourishing society where you had all the food you needed, it suddenly became like desert. In just 100 years, that's quick.
Wow.
So, and that created a trauma of being afraid not to survive because you couldn't find food. And that's a trauma. And when you have to fight for your survival, then you are in a trauma response. So the fight for survival It started with, it would be very good to have a cow, because if you have a cow, then you have meat and milk and you can survive. And that's the way ownership started. It was a response on this climate crisis that reduced food, and it was valuable to have a cow. And if I have a cow, then I started to also be greedy about it, because I will survive, my family will survive. And that's when the resources were sent to a few, the one who had them, who owned. And when the ownership of a cow started, the next step happened. And then it was that the man wanted to know, who is my children? Who are my children? Because if I die, I want my cow to go to my children.
Wow.
And then he needed to know, who is the woman who give birth to my children. And then he needed to control sexuality. I need to know that she's my woman. So if I have to give this cow to someone, I need to know it's my blood I give it to. So that started the foundation of marriage. And that's ownership of the woman and her sexuality. So I can do as much as I can to control her sexuality, so I know it's my children who can get my cow.
Wow.
And we can see patterns of this today. For example, if you book a flight, I need to say if I'm Miss or Mrs.
Yes.
As a male, you only are Mr. And this tells the world if I'm owned by a man or not. So we have those clear traces from this, that people need to know if I'm owned, if I'm my own or not. So I recently learned this myself. I think it's very interesting. So the next step of this, since the climate was changing, these people also started to move in the landscape to find better environments where there are more food. So these people with this trauma response, where they started to own, and they also started to use violence and dominance to create this. It is a trauma response. Started to move, and then they domesticated the horse so they can move bigger areas. So from just walking, we can't get far. But when we domesticate the horse, then we can go very far away. And then these people started to journey to other societies, to peaceful societies who had a lot of resources, who lived in a centered way, in a circular way. But these people who came, they now had started to own resources and use dominance and power and violence. And they brought that to those societies. And here the science shows, for example, in Europe, there are many places in Europe that we can trace that the children had mothers that were located from the local areas, but the fathers came far away from the areas where the climate crisis arose. So the DNA science shows that it happened something when these men came to the peaceful society with resources. And we don't know if it was rape, or we don't know what they did with the local men around, but we know that the children that were born were mixed. And
oh my God, this makes so much sense.
Yeah, and then they developed weapons, and then weapon could make the violence even worse. So that's our background. That's the ground of the patriarchy. And to me, the most important thing is that it's a result of a wounding. The human being isn't evil. It isn't mad. It's hurting. It's a wound. And that's what we can see in the older history when I talked about the circular societies. We are peaceful. We are collaborating. In our nature, it's organic for us to know what we are good at and to blossom in our capacities and to support each other. That's our nature. We are good. We are inherently good. We are made to support each other. We are made to get help from each other. We are made to love and live together. That's in our bones. But when this wound happened, then the violence, the dominance started. And to me, it makes all the difference. We are good. We are just in a very big wounded society right now. We are in pain and we can heal that.
Yeah. Wow.
Exactly.
It makes
Wow,
so
I'm in
much
awe.
sense. So much sense. And thank you for sharing all of this.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I
I
didn't know
didn't
this.
either. So when I found, and it's so interesting, you know, when you find puzzle after puzzle, like
Exactly.
studying so much about the prior societies, what made this change? And I've been looking and looking, and when I found this, it's like, Alisha, I love her for the way she explains it. And it's so interesting because the DNA science came in 2017, and scientists showed these things before, but they couldn't prove it. So we have also very feminine scientists who have been like bullied for believing in this because it's been silenced and hidden, everything about how we lived before, because that's based on love.
Yeah. Beautiful. And one more question. We are going to make and create another episode, like a follow-up on this one. But everything you shared, that was not just in Sweden, was it? Like it was also.
Oh no, it was Eurasia you talk about.
Oh,
So
it's yeah.
So the climate crisis was in the, as far as I understand, for example, eastern parts of it. I don't have the total map of it. Alisha has. So in a book she has, but it came to all over Europe, and then from Europe it spread.
Yeah.
And science says it's happened similar things in different areas in the world. And since I'm based in Europe, I've been focusing on what happened here with the patriarchy. But we know, for example, how patriarchy went to US, and we know how it went to Africa. So that's from Europe.
And India.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, the colonialism is really a way of sharing this with the world. And that's based on this hierarchy. A few can, through violence and dominance and power, take the resources and just limit it for the main big parts of the people. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Lina. I mean,
thank you.
I'm a little bit speechless because I need to let it, integrate. But this was, beautiful to hear the beginning, kind of.
Exactly, because it changed our perspective of what we need to do now. We need to heal the wounding. We can't force it with more violence. We can't use more power to, this needs to go. That's how it was
this
created.
is also why there are so many, I know you have so many circles like that. There is this collaboration communities arising as well. So for everyone that's listening, we love for you to also integrate this, but come with questions, because we're going to record a second episode. So if you have questions for Lina, whatever in this topic and everything, that would be also so much fun if we could.
Yeah, that's great. And just a question for me to the listeners: as a revolution, you can focus on what you're good at. What would you love and like to contribute to the society? What is it you love to do? Because that was the way we lived before. And you focus on your strengths. That's the way you are here to contribute.
Yeah.
And you just focus on what are you good at? What is it you love to do? Because you're meant to be in that energy. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to questions for next time.
Yep, me too. Me too. And thank you all for listening, and subscribe and share your love with us.